Guys? Good morning or good afternoon for some of you. Uh, I had a few cocktails last night after the fight. I'm struggling a little bit today, but I thought I'd come on here and talk real quick about what we saw last night, which was an amazing performance from Manny Pacquiao, who beat the much younger Keith Thurman. And I went on the record picking Thurman, right? Not just here on my channel, but on national radio last night. I was like, Thurman's going to win, and here's why. And I talked about the fact that he's 10 years, 2 inches taller, longer, yada, yada, yada. I talked about his against other welterweights in recent years compared to Manny's. None of that really mattered. In the end, Pacquiao beat Thurman with angles. I talked about last night during the fight video I did, the commentary. Thurman moves in straight lines, man. He gets in and he gets really, really fast. You know what I'm saying? And he's hurt. He's able to use it well. But Pacquiao moves in angles, and he spins and he turns and he's side to side with everything. And those angles gave Keith so many problems, man. So Pacquiao just boxed around, just kept moving around Thurman, turning, and those angles gave Keith so much trouble. And that's how he got it. You guys are saying choppy audio? How are we having choppy audio? All right, hopefully, let me check here. I'm pulling up on my laptop. I'm pulling up the chat. Is it still choppy, guys? Let me check the mic. Should be good. Mic's plugged in. Still choppy? Yeah, I saw that. The only time you went against my prediction. Yeah, man. I gotta eat my word, man. Look, when I call it right, I can own that. But when I call wrong, I gotta own that too. And keeps buffering. On my end, it looks fine. If the stream keeps chopping up, then I'll go ahead and cut this, and I'll just shoot a video. Look, we're gonna do TNC tomorrow, right? So tomorrow night on TNC, we'll go over all this. But yeah, man, I think that what Pacquiao did was pretty damn amazing. Obviously, just of everything I stated, not only age difference, but the size difference. I mean, guys, Pacquiao is he really, really is, who bulks up to fight against much bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? And he's been doing it for a decade now. So it's impressive. I do have to say two criticisms. And look, everyone's happy right now because we saw some work, we saw something epic in Pacquiao. I understand that. But I have to mention two things. First, scorecard. Scorecards here. Tim Cheatham and Dave Moretti scored the fight correctly in my head at 115, 112 for Pacquiao. That's 7 rounds to 5. I think you could have better 8 rounds to 4. Some people thought it was 9 rounds to 3. Maybe that's a little too wide. But clearly, Pacquiao won. It was close. It was competitive. But Pacquiao started better. Thurman had a mid-round surge. Pacquiao closed better. Dropped Thurman in the first round with a body shot really bad, I believe, in the 10th round. Those were the stamps on the fight, right? Clearly won. And I really couldn't give Thurman more than 5 rounds. You just couldn't do enough, in my opinion. So Glenn Feldman's scorecard of 114, 115 for Thurman. That's 7 rounds to 5 for Thurman. That is a really bad scorecard. I get it. The right man won. It's something, there's going to come a time when the wrong scorecard affects a fight, right? And the wrong person wins. So Glenn's scorecard sucked. Keith Thurman did not win that. Feldman is a very experienced judge. So people need to talk about that shitty scorecard. It matters. It matters. All right. Just a shitty scorecard from Glenn Feldman, So that's point 1. Point 2, have to talk about this. It does matter, guys. There was no advanced VADA testing for this fight. To me, it doesn't take away because neither guys were tested. So Pacquiao still wins, and they were fighting on even ground because who knows, they could have both been doing whatever they wanted. People to the promotion have tried to say there was drug testing. There was some limited drug testing for the event that was done through the Nevada Commission. It's not the same thing. There was not full VADA testing for this fight, for the fight camp for both fighters. That matters, okay? That matters. Am I bringing again here? All right, good. So I mentioned that. I have to mention it. And I'm not saying this to rain on anyone's parade or to be negative or whatever, but those two things matter, okay? Matters. Shitty scorecards matter. And I got to be consistent. I see shitty scorecards everywhere. I talk about it. When I see no drug testing, I talk about it. Those things matter. So have to get that out of the way, have to mention it, and I always will. And look, I've dogged plenty of for their shitty scorecards, including Adelaide Bird, who worked hard last night, as did Robert Bird. It's insane. But if I'm going to ream Adelaide Bird for these scorecards, I got to ream Glenn Feldman for his shitty scorecard last night, too. You know, if I talk about other guys not doing, I beat up on Canelo last week. I got to talk about Pacquiao Thurman having testing. Also, quick distinction, and then I'll get to some questions here, guys. So questions at me. Quick distinction. A lot of you guys are talking about Joe blowing on Manny's performance. I'm being honest, and if you tuned in before, I just saw your comment. Dude, I gave Manny credit for what he did last night. It was a great performance. I'm talking about pertains to the fight that mattered. A lot of you guys bring up WBC's clean boxing program. Now, if you guys who follow and subscribe to my channel, you've heard me talk times. I'm not going to go into crazy detail, but it's not the same thing. The WBC clean boxing program, guys, I'm just going to go over the basics, okay? Top 10, maybe it's the top 50 in each division. 50, let's stick with top 10. In all 17 divisions of the WBC's ratings are in the program, and they are open for testing, right? At any time. However, the budget is microscopic. Guys, 17 divisions, 10 fighters, that's 170 fighters. I actually think it's the top 15. So you're talking over 200 fighters at any given time are enrolled in the program. They have, the WBC has a little budget. They hand it to VADA, quarter or whatever it is. I think it's quarterly. And the VADA will take that and conduct random testing. WBC no control over who VADA tests. Once they have they test until the budget's run out. But the budget is not to do year-round Olympic-style year-round testing for one fighter. One fighter. So think about that. You've got over 200 guys in this program. Okay, most fighters enrolled in CBP, clean boxing program, don't even get tested in a calendar year. Most, okay? The guys who do, they get tested maybe when they have a fight coming up. You know, VADA will say, oh, who's scheduled? There's a fight coming up. Let's test this guy. Let's test that guy. A handful of times. Maybe if they have a fight scheduled. But much it. So being enrolled in the clean boxing program is not the same as signing up for full VADA during a fight camp, okay? Not the same thing. So a lot of people talking about Canelo Alvarez. Well, he was enrolled in the clean boxing program. Yeah, he didn't re-up for of year-round Olympic-style drug testing with VADA, where you're truly getting tested. You might have 8 samples taken in a week. You might not even have a fight scheduled. Right? It's random. It's completely random. So anyway, guys, huge distinction there. All right? Let's see here. We'll wrap it up. Again, I'm going to talk a lot more. I'm going to get some fluids and eat some lunch and rest today because I won last night, had a few cocktails. We'll be in a lot better shape tomorrow for the Neutral Corner. Episode 180 of the Neutral Corner. We're crazy. But let's see here. A lot of you guys, I'm just looking at your scores, and most of you Cecil says, I look hungover for sure. Yeah. A lot clearly had Pacquiao winning, which he did. There's only a few people out there on the internet that are saying Thurman won. Guys, if you feel Thurman won, go back and watch that fight. He did not win the fight. And remember, I predicted Thurman to win. It would be in my best interest to say, yeah, I think Thurman might have won. This could have went either way. It's a win for Pacquiao. I could say 112. I could even go 116, 111. Maybe 116, 111 there. I mean, it was, guys, you close competitive with a close competitive fight with a clear winner is not the same thing as a close fight that could have went either way. All right, those are two different things. What we had last night was they didn't win that fight, and he knew it. In the post-fight interview, right there in the ring, and then later on, I think in the dressing room, he gave a couple interviews. Look at his face compared to Manny's face. But he admitted he lost the fight. He talked about it and openly said, yeah, I lost. So, third thing he lost, all right? Al W says that body shot was beautiful. I concur. That was a hell of a body shot. And again, guys, just talking about the actual fight, what won Manny that fight was angles and spinning. And a guy that could get to the Thurman's sides, whether he was on his left side or right side, off a combination, get in, get out, but not straight in and straight out. Come in with angles upstairs and downstairs too. And I think the punches from the angles, I think the footwork is really what won Manny the fight. And Keith, we need to give Keith Thurman some credit here. He got dropped in the first round. Yeah, back down and was off balance. A lot of guys in that situation, that was clearly the biggest fight of his. He was going from here to here in terms of the event, right? The atmosphere. And a lot of guys would have panicked. A lot of people saying Thurman is done with boxing. He's not the same guy. He's got married, got soft, all this, that, the other. Well, he didn't show that last night. He showed that he still has a lot of hunger. That check would have cleared whether he gave up in the first round or fifth rounds, right? He still would have got paid. And I think that battle back and win the middle rounds and to have that fight pretty much even. I had the fight even, maybe 8-9 rounds. After 9 rounds, it was like my scorecard was 5-4 either way. I could have seen it 5-4 either way after 9 rounds. So going into those championship rounds, you know, I thought it was a damn close fight, and all Thurman for that. And then in the 10th round, when Manny hurt him bad with that body shot, and that carried over the final for Manny. I thought he took him. Thurman again, dude, he took out his mouthpiece and he was hurt. He talked about it later. He said he took it so he could breathe. So he took out the mouthpiece to just have more room. He bent over and opened his mouth real wide and spit as much air as he could because it was hard for him to breathe after eating that big punch to the body. And for him to take that and fight back the way he did, you guys see his face. He was cut up. His nose was bleeding. His mouth was bleeding. Dude's face is all sorts of busted up and bruised up. And he fought through that, man. So yeah, Keith is soft. He's not boxing. He's not half checked out. All these things that everyone was saying. My man was on Twitter, I saw earlier, was talking about people have been saying for years that Jose Soto Karass, he hurt Thurman in a fight just going back years, and Thurman hasn't been the same guy since. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit narrative. Thurman fought fiercely, fought through adversity, serious adversity, a legend in the legend's backyard, basically, Las Vegas, Pacquiao, A-side. The crowd was for Pacquiao. So Thurman showed a lot of intestinal fortitude last night. He deserves credit for that. Doug Fisher made a great point on Twitter. He said, I'm paraphrasing, he said something to the effect that Thurman gets busy active again. These 12 better fighters, so true. Compare Thurman to these other young welterweights right now. Talk about Errol Spence. We talk about Terrence Crawford. Keith now has 12 rounds with Manny Pacquiao, a legend. one of the all-time greats. Crawford, Spence have that experience. So I'm just saying, down the line, who knows what, guys, we don't know, but it's very, very possible. 3 years, 4 years down the line, they've all fought each other and maybe taken a loss or something. We need Thurman against Crawford, Thurman against Spence. If that fight's tough and there's some dark moments where a dude needs to really bite, that experience against Pacquiao, that may pay dividends for him in those sorts of matchups a few years down the line. Real talk. This stuff matters. So that was a really great point, Doug Fisher. And I think that Thurman getting up from that knockdown and fighting back and fighting through it, Crawford's never had to do that. Spence has never had to do that. So he showed something last night that those guys have never been forced to show. What happens if one of those guys get dropped or hurt bad to the body? The fight of their life, how will they? We simply don't know yet. Thurman will respond. Skovska is asking, did Pacquiao break Thurman's ribs? No, he did not ribs, but Thurman, I think, had a lash in his mouth. Enough to where and I think he hurt his thumb or something, enough to where the Nevada Commission put a suspension. Just a medical, not a big deal, which it's very standard operating procedure. But he definitely got busted up last night. Definitely got busted up. Hamed92 is asking, did Aaron protect Crawford from Pacquiao in 2016? The opposite, bro. It was Pacquiao that wanted none of Terrence Crawford at that time. Bob and Crawford wanted a Pacquiao-Crawford fight. It was actually Pacquiao who avoided that and didn't want it. It looks like I'm getting choppy again here, so I'm probably going to bounce off because, like I said, I need some some Gatorade, electrolytes, and some food. Miguel Lopez, 2 Warriors for my money's worth. Yeah, that's another point that I want to make before I jump here. You guys have been too many pay-per-views from PBC over the last 12 months. Way too many pay-per-views. You got another one coming up with Benson Porter. Which, look, most of these pay-per-views don't live up to the hype, and you're not getting your money's worth. Last night, the undercard wasn't very good. It was okay, but the main event delivered. This was the best pay-per-view event that we've had since the rematch between Golovkin and Canelo, really. So basically in a year. So all these pay-per-views, mostly free, but one of them from you guys have had to pay out hundreds of dollars now, right? This is the only one, in my opinion, that really lived up to the hype. Wilder Fury was a good fight, but when you take away those 2 rounds where Fury got dropped, wasn't that damn good. It was nowhere near as good as what we saw. It just wasn't. So anyway, those are my thoughts, guys, and we will talk more on the Neutral Corner. 7:00 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you're on and make sure that you have some questions and we'll chop it up. And I promise I'll look and sound a lot more current at that time. All right, guys. Enjoyed the fight last night, man. Really, really good stuff. I hope you did too. Enjoy your Sunday. We will chat tomorrow night for fights.